This is Ilona's definition of suffering.
If you look in your experience, suffering is not wanting to feel something that is showing up. So it's really about feelings and emotions. So a big breakthrough is recognizing that it is safe to feel whatever you're feeling.
Stay tuned for an honest conversation on spirituality, awakening, and the potential paradox of ultimate acceptance while also chasing goals as a creative entrepreneur. Welcome creators, artists, smart professionals, and all those ready to take action and create a passion-centered lifestyle. This is another episode of the Creative Action Podcast. I'm your host, Bruno Flow. Let's unlock greater levels of flow, freedom, and fulfillment together. Listen, I have new spots available for you to have a free one-on-one clarity session with me. Go right now to brunoflow.com/clarity and secure your spot. Now, let's go back to the episode. Today I'm super excited to receive Ilona Ciunaite, a psychologist, coach, and creative entrepreneur. For the past 13 years, she's been passionate about helping spiritual seekers see beyond the illusion of a separate self. She's the co-founder of Liberation Unleashed, a global movement dedicated to guiding people towards this realization. With thousands of clients all around the world, Ilona inspires individuals to question their core beliefs and discover their own truths. This is going to be a deep talk in which we are going to deeply look into who's Ilona and hopefully also take a deep look into ourselves. Okay, that's it. That's better. Yeah, I had a few tries for this intro, so everyone listening to this episode, yes, I had a few tries, but it's because I'm very excited for this. This is a very special moment for me because I truly respect you, Ilona. That's the truth.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for invitation. Delighted to talk to you.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure, and thank you for accepting the invitation because I know you are very busy and you are doing a lot of work and always in movement. So, yes. So, tell me, Ilona, how are you right now?
In this moment?
Yes.
I'm great. Yes.
I love it. Also, I'm feeling great. I am a bit nervous because all this respect I have for you and everything. I want to tell the audience how I met Ilona. How is the whole story? Because it's very crazy. Yes, because I'm from Argentina and Ilona is from she was born in Lithuania and now she's based in Mauritania. Is the name of the country?
No, not Mauritania. Mauritius.
Mauritius.
It's a different country.
Sorry, I got mixed. Lithuania, Mauritius. Yeah. Yes. So why Bruno knows Ilona and we know each other since we were talking about this 7 years, 6 years, something like that. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy because yes, I was basically a spiritual seeker for my whole life. Since my father died when I was 13 years old, my father was a yoga teacher. He was an ex-monk student and he taught me meditation when I was 10 years old. And from that point, I think I never told you this. Mm-hmm. And from that point, I got interest into meditation, spirituality, and that was my life. And when he died, I had this question: where did he go? That was something that was super shocking for me. He was right here with me because it was a very sudden death he had. He was right here with me, and 15 minutes later, he was dead and disappeared forever. So I was a child, no? I was 13 years old, and I couldn't really understand death. How an identity, a person I love, everything, and it disappears out of nowhere. So this was my catalyst for the spiritual seeking. And I got very hardcore into this. There was a point in my life in which I said, okay, I need to figure this out. I'm going to dive into the rabbit hole of what the fuck is this? what the fuck is reality, truth, life? What is this? Why am I alive? What the fuck is these kind of deep questions, no? So I started basically scouting internet for answers. And at some point, I found Liberation Unleashed, which is this global movement of guys that help other people, spiritual seekers, to see through the illusion of a separate self. At the point I discovered this website, I wasn't really sure about what it was exactly because my background wasn't necessarily Buddhist background. So separate self, what's that? So at first I was a bit skeptical, but yeah, it worked. So I could see it in that moment. And it was a big point in my own, let's say, spiritual journey. Maybe I can say that. Yes, it was like a big breakthrough. So that's how I met Ilona a lot of time ago, and that's why I truly respect, because I know in firsthand what she created, Liberation Unleashed. So I wanted to put all the audience in context about this. Yes.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing this. Wow, I'm impressed that you got interested in all this meditation since 10 years old.
Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
very
Yes.
interesting.
Well, my father, he saw, because I remember this. This is crazy. I was very like a little kid, and I remember saying to my father, sometimes it's like I feel like I'm seeing a movie. I remember telling him this exact thing. I feel like I'm sitting and watching a movie, and all my life is just like a movie or a screen, and I'm seeing everything. And he looked at me like, this kid is. And I remember the next week he took me to a monk. He knew a monk because he was an ex-monk student, like India kind of. Sorry, I'm talking more about me, but we are talking. Okay, let's flow. And he took me to a monk, and the monk teach me this basic meditation technique, and that was how it was. So, what I want to hear, how do you describe seeing through the illusion of separate self? What is this all about? I want to hear from you, so all the listeners can also take a deep look into you.
Okay, great. Thank you for the question. Well, in my language, in my understanding, and how I like to present this is that life is one. There's one aliveness showing up as everything. And it's not something we are doing, it's what is happening. And it's so self-evident and obvious when you go out in nature. Everything in nature is doing its own thing. Like every form of life is in the right place, doing the right thing. And there is nobody there commanding it or making anything happen. It's this power of nature, laws of nature are exactly running humans too. We're not outside of it. We're not apart from aliveness or from nature. So when we are born into society and into the families, we are given a name and we are told, here you go. Now you have to control your life. You are the one to make yourself happy, and you have to compete and do the best that you can, because you are an individual being, and you are here. Life is out there. Go and get what you need to get. Do what you need to do. Succeed the way you need to succeed. And it kind of creates that sense of self, or idea of self, that I am me and everything else is not me. And we kind of get this sense of separateness, aloneness, being alone, being disconnected from everyone else. And we feel we are different. And we don't know how to work this life, because as much as we study and we try to control the outcomes, it's never 100% successful. But then there is a point in a seeker's life when we start questioning what is really going on here. Yes, we've been told it's like this, but what is really going on? And it may come through an intense suffering, or it may come through curiosity, mostly through suffering. Like, you know,
That's true.
that's when people stop and say, oh, I can't take this anymore. What's going on? And yeah, and there are some questions that you can ask, and the ways to look at things, and to investigate and inquire, and to reveal what is really going on. How we are one with everything, how we are like a wave in the ocean of aliveness, rather than being separate from everything. We are the result of everything.
Yes, I love it how you frame this explanation, how you approach it. Is that's true? It's like you start from nature, no? It's like things are they don't have this conceptual like overlay on top of them. Nature is nature. It's just the beer is there and is chilling. It's not putting any kind of separate, I'm a separate beer doing my separate stuff. No, he's just chilling, or the flower or whatever. And it seems that as humans, we have this capacity of creating this overlay, this conceptual stuff on top of what's actually happening. And you say that this is what generates suffering.
Yes, feeling disconnected. You know, we all want the same things. We want to feel safe. We want to be accepted and loved. And there is also wanting to control the outcomes. We all want the same things. That wanting to control the outcomes is showing up as this drive to push what we don't want, and to pull what we want, to pull ourselves towards what we want. Like it's natural. We all set up to seek pleasure and avoid pain.
Yes.
And the suffering is in that push and pull.
I like it.
Not as much as you have a desire and it's wrong. It's not wrong. It's just that attachment to the idea, how it should come up, how it should show up, how it should manifest. That attachment to that desire, to the desired outcome, is the suffering.
Definitely. And when you are saying this, I can see how I'm suffering right now. In example. Because yes, when you obviously this is about deep looking, no? So maybe this episode is going to be about deep looking probably. Because right now I'm super attached to like making this a good interview, on asking you the right questions, and all the logical stuff when you are producing a podcast and everything. And I can see that there is suffering inside that expectation of control, let's say. There is a resistance, some kind of tightness, even in my body, even in my chest. So I love this, because when you are saying this, I can also see in my own being in real time my push and pull. And probably the audience also is right now pushing something away, which would be like rejecting something, and also at the same time accepting something or liking it too much, which will be the other opposite. And this seems to be the root of suffering. And this is also shared with Buddhism, the same kind of maybe philosophy. Am I right? Yeah. So, yes, I wanted to ask you about maybe a little bit more about what you are doing right now. How are you doing this service of guiding others? How are you looking at this project right now in your life? How does it look? Let's take a deep look into that.
Right. So I can just describe you a normal week or a normal day.
Oh, okay. Well, interesting.
Right. Okay. So I work with clients on one-on-one, and sometimes with groups. And when we meet with the client on Zoom conversation, then we explore together. We just sit And whatever is ready to come up comes up, and then we look at it rather than trying to resolve it, manipulate it, analyze it, or whatever mind tricks can be applied to anything. We just notice it. Like right now, you can look at your sensations in the body, see what's going on without anything else, just letting it be as it is. Yeah? Just noticing what is there. And that attention, that conscious attention, is like electricity or like the power that opens that confusion, contraction up. And so it can self-resolve. It's the opposite of trying to do something with whatever is arising, just letting it be as it is. It sounds very simple, but so difficult because there are so many interferences coming up. So that's how I work with people. We meet and we meet whatever is arising in that moment. And it can be stories, can be sensations, can be energies, can be whatever is showing up. But my work is to help you, to show you that it can be met with kindness, with respect, and just giving it full attention, so that the confusion or contraction can self-resolve, self-liberate for itself. Because everything that is painful wants to heal. And it needs a little bit of attention. So that's what I do. Every day with people, no days off.
Every day working.
It's my life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then I have cats in the house and a husband. And
Cats
we live in
and husband.
Mauritius.
I love
Yes,
that you
it's
say
a
cats.
lot of cats and one husband.
Okay.
Oh, they are such a great teachers, and they keep teaching us all the time. And at the moment, like every day is a new drama in a cat community.
I thought you were talking about your husband, but you were talking about your cats. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, lessons with husband continues. For
Yes,
sure.
of course, of course.
But the cats are here to really give us some stress,
Okay.
some challenges. Yeah. So there is a lot of taking care of them, and then just relaxing, enjoying life. Sometimes going to the beach, having a swim, the warm ocean.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So it's very simple life, very ordinary, I would say. And also I'm having a podcast and a YouTube channel. So a lot of my work is to create and release a new episode every week. So that also takes time.
Of course. And you can find that podcast looking at Spotify or any streaming service. You can type Awakening Now, which is the name of the podcast. Am I right? Yes.
That's right. Yes.
Awakening Now. And thank you for sharing about your life. And I was thinking, because I consider myself like an entrepreneur, let's say, like a person that's actively pushing to make things happen. And exactly this podcast is called Creative Action Podcast. It's about taking action. This is about creating stuff in material world and human life. And I see how there's a contradiction or a paradox inside me regarding taking action, aggressively taking action, let's say, and pushing forward, and which is like part of my own energy. It's like I have like this kind of inclination to be intense and do things with passion and try to figure out goals and resolve problems and create strategies. It's like my mind tends to go in that way. And when you're talking about suffering and you're talking about pushing and pulling, in some sense, I see how that is part of my daily life. Is like part of this pushing and pulling. It's something that happens with the business and with podcasts and with everything. And there is a paradox because, it's how can I be aware of this pushing and pulling at the same time move forward with the goals, or is I need to sacrifice my goals to not suffer? Because this was a paradox I had for a very long time after this process of spiritual self-inquiry. What are your thoughts on this kind of thing?
Okay. There is no paradox, really, because the creative energy is flowing freely. It's flowing as ideas, as action, as everything. It's that creative power that is in us. We can call it inspiration and drive to go and do and create and produce. That's coming from within. You wake up in the morning and you're excited to do something. Oh, podcast, yay! Let's go. So it's not like somebody making you do it, or somebody says you have to do it. If you don't do it, you're a bad person and you better do it because you don't want to be bad.
Well, sometimes
there's joy and natural inclination to create.
I get you. Yeah, definitely. This is a conscious decision of making a podcast. But sometimes it's a bit of a pain in the ass, to be honest. It's like, oh man, I had to do this, and like, oh, I want to be in my bed the whole day, and I need to push a little bit. Okay, no, Bruno, let's go, man, let's go. You want to make a good service for others, blah blah blah. Okay, Bruno, no, talking to myself like this guy in that all the paradox of talking to yourself and everything to push you forward to do something. But I get you. It's all part of this non-conceptual thing, or in fact, it's just happening. It's something that is happening on its own. We could say, no? Maybe is that what you're saying?
Yes, and what needs to happen will happen. So you don't need to worry about that. So if, let's say, you have a deadline, you need to finish this episode by 5:00 tomorrow, let's say. And you're going to do it. It doesn't matter how many days before that you're going to think that I need to do it. I'm lazy now. I don't want to do it. But the time comes and it gets done.
Whatever needs to happen, it will happen.
Yes. So if that episode needs to come live, it will come on live. And it will come on exactly when it needs to. So all that thinking about it, or blaming yourself, or thinking you're not good enough, or you have to push yourself harder, it's optional. It's just some old programs showing up. Let's say I have a week to do a podcast episode. And today I don't feel like doing it. I don't even think about it. I just don't do it. I go watch some Netflix or play with the cat. Yeah. And tomorrow I wake up and it just happens. So don't need to over stress about something that doesn't need to be stressed about. But that's the beauty of seeing that everything is happening on its own by itself without anyone doing it or making it happen. Like you can trust in nature. You can trust the drive within and just flow.
Yes, and you left me thinking, but mostly looking. You left me looking more than thinking. Yes, it seems it's completely optional. Yes, all the struggle when not being able to record the podcast episode, and it seems that being able to look into reality helps to dismantle that suffering in real time.
Yes. Yeah. Because what is suffering is, if you look in your experience, suffering is not wanting to feel something that is showing up. Not wanting to feel uncomfortable or difficult emotions or sad or something that we want to get rid of. So it's really about feelings and emotions. Because if you don't feel bad, you don't want to fix it.
Yes.
So it's what the suffering is really our unwanted emotions. But if you see that emotions are coming and going by themselves also, like you're not doing them, they're not even yours. It's just something that is showing up. Then it's easier to meet them the way they are, let them be, and they are gone. Otherwise, we spend our time trying to fix unwanted feeling and being afraid about future unwanted feeling, which is fear and anxiety. It's all about stuff that you are not feeling yet, but you may feel if that and that and that happens, and how to avoid it. So a big breakthrough is recognizing that it is safe to feel whatever you're feeling. And it's okay to feel whatever you're feeling, and give yourself permission to experience and explore all kinds of energy or sensation. There's nothing wrong with feeling bad or feeling uncomfortable.
That's true. I remember that breakthrough in my own process. I remember exactly that because I will talk as a spiritual seeker. Now, when you're a spiritual seeker, you are feeling a shitty emotion, the emotion of being incomplete, of you are looking for something, you are trying to fix something that's wrong somehow inside you. So there is obviously there is an emotion. That's true. I love how you phrase it very clearly. There is an emotion of undesired emotion, something that you reject. And that's where the problem starts, probably. So it seems that deep looking allows you to feel whatever is it that you need to feel at that moment with 100% acceptance. And that's the first step to see that there is nothing wrong with that. And then you dismantle this pattern of suffering, this you dismantle this, yes, the mechanism, automatical mechanism of, because it's something we are not aware. So it's about emotional awareness in some sense, and complete awareness in another level, no? Because emotional is what maybe the layer, one of the layers of in which we resist, or where the resistance is seen in real time, maybe. So yes, I'm like repeating in my mind everything you said, making sense of it. It's crazy how can we complicate things. I always complicating things. I love to complicate things. My brain is very good at at creating complex structures and stuff. But this
Wonderful.
wonderful. Yes. It's super fun. I love it. But at some point, yes, it happens that there is this resistance, and right now, as I'm saying this to you, it's also dismantling the whole notion of resistance. It's like resistance itself. Okay, I'm resisting. Okay, I'm seeing that I'm resisting, so I stop resisting. Is that also that kind of when you see your resistance in real time, it has this that power of it's basically connecting with.
Resistance is a very, very interesting topic. It teaches us so much about life. Resistance. Like, for example, something is happening and I don't like it. I don't like it, right?
Yes.
And I'm going to resist that. Oh, this shouldn't be happening. Why is this happening? It's all this narrative about something, there's something wrong, either with me or with the world or with whatever. But then the resistance is here saying, listen to me. And then I say, okay, I agree. I don't like it. I agree. I don't have to like it. And then it has no more power.
Yeah.
So I don't like it. Okay, I don't like to feel sad in this moment. True, I don't like it. But it's not here to be liked. It's here to be felt. So then you can go and feel sad freely without trying to fix it or push it away. So when you notice resistance, you can just listen to it and say, yeah, I agree. I don't like it. It shouldn't be happening.
Oh, okay.
It has got nothing else to say. Kind of stop it in its tracks. Otherwise, it keeps pushing.
Okay, so this is something that the person right now listening to this episode can do. It's like If you feel bad because of something, okay, I feel bad. Nice. Okay, that's it.
So what? What's wrong
So
with feeling
what?
bad?
And this sounds like very simple, no? But when you are in like deep in the badness, in the feeling, somehow we are not. We I don't know why, but it's like, well, we resist doing that because it feels
Mm-hmm.
like uncomfortable. Maybe like allowing the. It's strange because you are uncomfortable and it feels uncomfortable to allow it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a loop. Probably there are like loops here going on. I remember after having this no self experience of this realization of no separate identity that I had some episode of like grief, like
Mm-hmm.
grieving all the things that I thought they were real, like or were I basically not real. Sorry, not that word.
Mm-hmm.
Not use. Let's not use that word. All the things that I thought were I, or all the
Mm-hmm.
other people. Also, this was a big breakthrough for me. Like seeing other people. There is neither an I in those people. We are not separate, but it has like it has a component of grief, or it had for me. I want to speak about
Mm-hmm.
my experience because
Yeah.
every experience is different. I have my own kind of baggage with personality and etc. But I saw other people. Okay, so I'm imagining I'm separate from all those other people. I'm imagining I'm someone different. I'm imagining she's another person. Like it's like this conceptual layout. I don't know how to say it. It's like
Mm-hmm.
overlay, not layout. Layouts another
Mm-hmm.
thing. And what do you think about this component of grief that might appear, or how what's your in your experience working with clients or in your own experience, why do you think this happens? Or because maybe there is a person on the other side that is going through something like this. In fact, there are a lot of listeners of this episode that are into awakening, and maybe they are going through their own dark night of the souls or whatever. So what will be your 2 cents, or based on your experience, your advice, or what's your approach, or what do you think about this in general?
Mm. My approach is just give yourself permission to feel whatever is here. It doesn't have to be anything else. And it doesn't matter how it is for other people. If grief comes in, and it wants to be felt. So feel grief. There is no permanent emotion. There is no emotion or feeling that would stay here forever. So it's all something that is arising, staying, and going. And sometimes when it's really difficult, it's good to remember that, and remember that everything passes. And our life is made of all different experiences: excitement, openings, grief and sadness and anger. And so freedom is not from feeling something uncomfortable. Freedom is to feel it all as it is. Freedom is from that push and pull. And I can give you this fun metaphor here. Like, okay, let's say one day you go to the beach.
Okay.
And the ocean is very wavy. So there's so many waves. And you look at these waves and like, oh, how disappointing. I came to see the ocean and all I can see is waves. That's no good. Shouldn't be happening. And you go home disappointed. And next day you come in and there's no wind. It's very calm. There are no waves. And you look at the ocean and you think, oh, wow, this is the ocean. I'm so lucky. This is my day. I can see the ocean today. It's wonderful. And you're so happy about that. It's peaceful and quiet, just how you like it. And then next day you come in and there are some little waves, nothing big, but and then you go, look, this is no good. I need to fix it. These waves are not right here. They shouldn't be happening. I prefer the other one, flat one, and now they are here. So how do I manifest this quietness, this peace? And then you go on and try to, make the waves go on with your hands and think, oh, maybe I didn't read enough books or something. I need to go speak to some wise people who know how to, make the waves go on. But that's not the point. The point is to come to the ocean and enjoy it the way it is. Sometimes it's wavy, sometimes it's quiet. It's never going to be quiet all the time or wavy all the time. So it's pointless try to fix it because it's not broken. So and this urge to fix it, fix your life, fix whatever is happening, is just another wave. It's not what you are. It's just another wave. And even that can be allowed and experienced as it is.
Thank you.
Because we spend our lives otherwise trying to fix what is not broken, thinking that there is some kind of remedy or there is some kind of way to get out of events, situations, uncomfortableness. Like, if only I read another book, they will tell me how to do it, because now I don't know. Because this, what I'm experiencing, is wrong and it's not enough. It should be different. When every moment is a miracle, really.
I love it. I love it, and it's like connecting with that exercise of allowing. It's so stupid. I mean, I'm stupid. No, it's not stupid at all. But I mean, it's so simple. That's what I wanted to say. Not stupid, simple. So it's not so easy. Like, okay, it's happening. Nothing more, nothing else to add. You are feeling grief. Okay, grief. You are feeling. Maybe you are let's say the person listening to this podcast episode is going through a challenge right now. Maybe he's going through a challenge. Maybe he's going through a transition on their career, and they feeling overwhelmed, or they feel grief. And yes, exactly. The first thing you want to do is to fix the problem. This is a problem. I need to fix the problem. But there is an excellent quote of we were talking about psychology before this episode. There is a psychologist I like called Carl Rogers. Carl Rogers from Humanistic School of Psychology, and he has this very cool quote. I'm going to see if I remember. It says something along the lines of, "It's only when I truly accept myself that then I can change." Something like that. Like putting the role of awareness in the first step is like, if you want to fix changing, you want to fix the problem, and you are not even seeing what's happening or accepting what's actually happening, what Carl Rogers says is that it will not work. From the perspective of a psychologist, not of trying to generate a behavior or change some kind of outcome, which is the goal of the psychologist, help the other person in some direction. But yes, there is also this awareness, basic foundation of this is so important. I mean, you could be the best entrepreneur in the world or whatever, but if you are not able to see the stuff just how it is, you are going to I don't know what you suffer. And I think my suffering, when I was talking about grief, what happened to me was that I wasn't accepting. I wasn't. At some point, I got like some kind of insight, but then I stopped accepting what was happening to me. So there was an overlay of suffering on top of the grief and everything. and I start having thoughts, and I have started to believe those thoughts, like things like there's no one here, there is no one to do anything because there is no separate self, so why bother? Why bother? Because my previous motivations were very like self-oriented. Like my motivations were, okay, I'm Bruno and I need to do this because I want to be successful and provide for my family and survive and resolve all these problems. And then when I saw that this wasn't like when I deconstruct this identity thing or the separation thing, the separation problem, let's say, or no, how to say it, um, I got into this mental loop of, okay, there is no reason to do anything. And then after a long time after that, I recognized, oh man, this is a trap. It's like I was believing something and I found out that this has a name. It's called spiritual bypassing. And I didn't know that. And what are your thoughts around spiritual bypassing?
Very good question. Yeah. Well, if you look at daily life and how we deal with uncomfortableness or how we deal with what we don't want to feel, everything is bypassing. But in this context, the spiritual bypassing is learning some new narrative, believing some new idea, applying that not to feel. Like there is nobody here, there's nothing happening. These are new mantras that have been learned. And apply like, oh, I can not feel it. I can escape that. Eventually, you recognize that this is not how it is. This is not true. It's a trap. It's okay. Just falling into another hole. And then you get out of it by becoming more real, recognizing what is true in your experience, rather than what the mind is saying with this new concept. And there is a stage in this spiritual seeking and finding process where the old is falling away. Old beliefs no longer make sense. The new beliefs, a new way of seeing is not formed yet. So it's a bit confusing. And there is a kind of need or try to hold on to anything, just anything that makes you feel better about this void that opens, so this not knowing, not understanding anymore. So we grab on some ideas and try to apply them. It doesn't work. But you can't stay stuck forever either. And it's just a stage. It's just something that to see, to recognize and move on. So really there are no mistakes like that. Like everything that is showing up is what needs to show up for you to expand more, to realize deeper, to see something that is ready to be seen. If you look at the river doesn't flow backwards. It always flows into the ocean, one direction. Everyone's moving that one direction. And then you may say, oh, this leaf on the top of the river is stuck. But it's also moving. It's also changing with the whole river. So we need to have all these realizations, but we can't take somebody else's beliefs and apply them in our own experience, because then it's not our experience. It's just secondhand belief, something that you learned. So the key is to really look in your own experience and recognize what is going on, because your experience is all you need. It's all you have. It's your own amusement park. But to take all these rides, the crazy ones, the fun ones, the horrible ones, all of them. And with that, we gain experience, and we know what's going on in our life. And you don't need anyone's permission or anyone's invitation to explore your own experience.
That's true.
It's a private thing.
That's true. And isn't there like some component of courage, because I remember talking to some people about this, and they feel afraid automatically, like, there is no separate me, no. It's like they reject automatically that idea because they are afraid of something. So if there is fear, there is also courage in saying, no, I want to see. I want to see what's actually happening. It's interesting that there is courage in, there is this emotion. Where does it come from?
Oh,
Where does it, why? Where there is courage for that? This fire, why? Why? Maybe it's because you want to solve the problem in some way, no? Okay, let's solve the problem. It's like that kind of mind, kind of approach.
I
But
guess you get a bug to search for truth, or you don't.
yes.
Some people can live all life and never ever even question who am I, or what's going on, what's reality, what exists, what doesn't exist. They're just happy to live their life, even though they suffer a lot, but there is no awareness. And you can't just go in there and say wake up and they wake up. No, it has to come from within.
Yes.
So there is something, if you look into your heart, there is longing for something. That longing is what's knocking from within, saying, okay, maybe life is not how you imagine it. But if you look at that longing and you feel that longing and invite it to show you what it wants you to see, that's kind of the start, the opening into this adventure of recognizing the truth of who you are, or what this is, how this is running. So literally the attention is like a key and the heart is like a lock. And when they meet, you enter into some kind of space where so many interesting things show up.
And you know,
So
if
I encourage everyone listening to apply the key.
yes, and obviously,
And see
if
what's
I
going
have
on.
a heart and I have a key, I'm super curious to know what happens if I use the key in the heart. And also, I think that's another keyword for this, not being like curiosity, because if you're not curious or interested about that, you will not be courageous to use the key and put it on the heart and see what comes. No, it's like all these wholesome qualities for this to actually happen. And I'm having like a lot of I'm feeling very grateful for this conversation, Ilona. Thank you, because already we have 50 minutes of conversation, and it has passed like, I don't know, 5 minutes for me.
Thank you.
Yes, and I really look forward to work with you in the future. This is something I have been thinking about, because this kind of connection with, I'm going to use a word which is a bit woo woo, but it's like ultimate reality, ultimate truth, that kind of connection with what's actually happening right now, which is something simple, but in the complexity of life, maybe we lose we can lose the side of it or the touch with it. It's, for me, it's part of my balance as a human being. So, and I do meditate on my own, and I do have my own kind of practice, but I feel super helpful to talk with you and to be able to put into words and listen to you speak and allow those words to enter. So, as probably all people or some of the persons listening to this podcast are also experiencing. So, I'm grateful for that. Thank you. I look forward to do a deep looking session with you or join your events and everything. And also invite all people to join in, and let's let's investigate around this, because there is a space for at least lessen the suffering, or at least learn more about it and be more curious and courageous and try to see what's actually happening, be more aware. The emotions, the suffering, the resistance, push and pull, and everything we say in this episode. And what could be a good starting point, Ilona, for a person that is getting interest into this thanks to this conversation?
Oh, great question. I would say there are 3 questions to ask.
Okay.
Right? It's the questions that you may hear all the time, but you never maybe sit down and look into it. So the first question is, what are you looking for precisely in life? What is it you are looking for precisely? Until you're just running around blindly trying to get little bits of happiness. But when you know what you're looking for, you can start the journey. Another question is, what are you running away from? Because that looking for, on one end is looking for something, on another end is running away from.
Yeah, that's
something.
true. That's true. I like it.
Yeah, so it's like the arrow that is shooting outwards. Somebody else has what I don't have. Maybe tomorrow I'll have, or when this happens, I'll have. But it's always this running towards something that is not here, while running away from what is here. So the third question is, what is here right now? It's kind of you turn that arrow back home and you start investigating what is here right now. And it's not like you have to accept it or reject it or do something with it, just noticing it. Maybe it's all okay. Maybe you don't need to run anywhere. It's already here. Maybe what you are looking for is already here. So that would be the starting point, to know these answers for yourself.
And one possible outcome out of this is that you realize that you don't need to go anywhere. And that means the finish line. You are at the finish line already. And you thought that you had to project this journey 10 years in the future with a lot of sacrifice and suffering and stuff. No, it's okay. We are here. It's like, it's interesting how can you, when you look actually at what's actually here, you can get a surprise. You know, like, oh, I'm here. Also, I love your questions. Thank you for sharing those. I think they are super practical for inquiry. Also, what kind of resource would you recommend, or how can people reach you, or probably the podcast? No, podcast will be number one thing coming to my mind. Awakening Now. I will repeat the name, Awakening Now podcast in Spotify, YouTube, and all streaming platforms, and you can get a more deep, do a deep dive into this. And if you are curious about learning more about this kind of approach to spirituality, let's say, yes, it's an approach to spirituality. If someone wants to work with you, what will be the next step for those people?
Okay, I have a website. It's called ILONA'S.com. It's just my name. So you can go on there and look up deep looking sessions. Okay. You can email me and we can arrange some time. I offer half an hour free conversation for anyone interested.
Oh.
It's just show up.
No brainer.
I'll show up. No, yes. No attachments. And if you like, you can buy a book called Liberation Unleashed.
Okay.
It's got some practical exercises, questions, and guided conversations that you can get familiar with. And on my YouTube channel, there are lots of videos for self-inquiry. You can do self-inquiry questions and also inquiry with other people where they share their process with everyone. So that's helpful. What else? That's it for now, I guess.
It's a lot. I think it's a lot. Yes.
And
Yeah.
also, of course, the free resource Liberation Unleashed, where you can get a guide free of charge and just have a text exchange or video exchange and explore
Yes.
whatever you need to explore.
Okay, so you are super generous because you just laid out a whole roadmap, and so people that are interested on this, uh, they have already the tools. And thank you for sharing everything. Thank you for doing what you are doing. I think it's important in a level that it's beyond words, obviously. Yes. Yes, and well, I will share all the information on the show notes of this episode. So if you are listening to this episode, take a look at the show notes and yes, do this deep dive into this self-inquiry with Ilona. I truly recommend it. It will be super helpful for you and your own spiritual seeking that I hope might end thanks to this all this process.
Thank you very much. It's such a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you, Ilona. Thank you. This is the end of the episode. Thank you for listening. Go to the show notes, click on the links, do a deep dive into Ilona's work. Thank you for listening. I cut.